PFF has graded the Chicago Bears' performances in the second preseason game. We're talking a little bit about that, plus how Austin Booker is making one of the Bears' free agent signings maybe not needed as much, and one of the players is already out of the battle for the starting left tackle. We'll talk about it all and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host, Hayes, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today, y'all. So we're going to talk about some of the best grades for the Chicago Bears coming out of the preseason on offense and defense. The top 10 players who got PFF, the best 10 PFF grades for the Chicago Bears were number one, Colston Loveland at 91.5. You had Cole Kmet at 91.3. I think that's very telling, especially how much we're going to use and rely on those tight ends to help make the game more simplified for Caleb Williams and for the offense overall. At number three, Caleb Williams at 88.9. At Ryan Bates came in there at left guard at 86.5, which is really good to see because Ryan Bates has an opportunity to be one of the best, offensive linemen coming off the bench for the Chicago Bears. Whoever comes out of this battle for the left tackle, whoever loses that battle is going to be a depth piece as well. We've already seen Theo Benedet look good. Newman's look good at times for the Chicago Bears. Like, the depth of the offensive line, something that I was really concerned about coming into the season, may be better than we initially thought. The left guard, Jordan McFadden, also graded out pretty good at 84.8. Tyler Scott is the sixth best offensive grade at 83.0. Miles Boykin at 82.1. Olamide Zaccheus at 81.9. You have Theo Benedet at 81.7. And Tyson Bagent at 80. The fact that the Bears had that many offensive linemen graded into the top 10 on offense, 3 out of the top 10 are offensive linemen, I think that's really good. I think that's really, really good. Again, one game, small sample size. We got a lot that we need to prove still going into the regular season. The best defensive grades. Noah Sewell graded out as the top defensive player in the game against the Buffalo Bills at 82.3. Tano at 79.3. You had Nick McLeod, the cornerback, at 78.7. Big Billings, Andrew Billings, defensive tackle, at 74.7. Trey Flowers at 74.2. Trey Flowers is going to have a lot of opportunity here, especially with the injury things that are going on with Terrell Smith down. This last preseason game, the Bears could be looking very well to really solidify that cornerback rotation before going into the regular season. Montez Sweat there at number 6 at 73.2. Followed right behind Javon Dexter at 71.6. Tremaine Edmonds at 71.2. And then Carl Jones and the safety Caleb Hayes round that out at right at 68 for both of those guys. So those are the PFF grades. Everything, and it's not the end-all, be-all when it comes down to it because, for example, Rome Odunze had one of the worst offensive PFF grades for that game. And, I mean, it comes down to the missed pass, right? The fact that he should have caught that ball. Only one target in that case, so it is what it is there. Stephen Carlson, Thomas Gordon, Drew Dahlman, surprisingly as well, at center, had the 5th worst offensive grade as well. And Luke Newman, who I think did pretty good in my time, graded out a PFF grade at 55.2. Kieran Amagaje towards the bottom there at 57, and Maurice Alexander at 10 was the worst there. The worst defensive grades went to Mark Perry at 33, Dio Odingbo at 41.7, Terrell Smith at 48.4, Dominique Robinson at 51.2, Daniel Hardy at 52.6, Zach Pickens, Jonathan Ford, Jonathan Owens, they all round out that list as well. But Dio Odingbo, right? Him being one of the names on here has started to strum up some conversation. The Bears went out and spent money to bring Dio in here, right? And we knew that was because the Bears weren't necessarily as confident in some of the other defensive linemen, especially at the edge position. They wanted somebody that they felt could come in and provide enough pressure to help free up Montez Sweat as much as possible. That's really what they were looking at. But with the rise of the way that Austin Booker has played, it has made some start to question over Dio and what his role is ultimately going to be here for the Chicago Bears. And could Austin Booker eventually take over that starting position? Now, You guys know I've been somebody we all have really here at Chicago Bears Central. Let's keep talent, right? Let's not get to the place where we think about replacing talent, that type of stuff, especially in this first year. Dio's contract's only $8 million. Now, it does balloon up to $20 million next year, and that's going to be the interesting part. If Austin Booker, Daniel Hardy, anybody really steps up, and how that would have to look at it, we'll see. But most of that money's guaranteed next year, too. He would convert to a dead cap of $22 million. That's more than the cap hit. So he's going to be here next season regardless. You're not looking into really year 3 before you're getting up off that deal where he would only be $4.5 million in dead cap. But the fact of the matter is, we shouldn't even be talking about that yet. Even if Austin Booker, and this is the thing that I really want to start trying to get into a little bit more, is that even if Austin Booker does completely shine this year, which the way that he's played in preseason looks really freaking good, make no mistake about it. You can't take away from that. He looks good, right? Even if he does take that the opposite side defensive end for Montez Sweat, you still need a bench depth, right? You're not going to play every single snap, and a guy like Dio is going to be somebody who can definitely bring that in. Yes, he signed a 3-year, $48 million contract. Paying $20 million for somebody to come off the bench for you, it potentially is something that people are going to question. But if the production's there, we've seen what Dio's done as a depth piece. We've seen what he's done as a rotational piece. He's going to have an opportunity to come here and show what he can bring with that combination of size and speed. We've talked about that a lot. So it is what it is. 17 quarterback hits in each of his last 2 seasons. I want that production on this team regardless. We still need that. Keep in mind, even under Dennis Allen, we're not going to be this team that's crazy blitzing. So a lot of our pressure has to come from our front 4 or front 7. And so Dio has an opportunity to be that regardless. So I'm not really worried about that. The place where Booker ends up on the depth chart is just, it's money in the bank, right? It's a good thing. Austin Booker and the production that he's had here has been great. The thing that I don't like that we start doing sometimes as Bears fans is like, how can we replace people? Let's go ahead and send them off. Can we get this trade for them? You still need depth. Not having depth, you can have some of the best starters in the world, and the Bears don't have that in every position. Let me be clear there. But even if you do have that, if you don't have depth, that drop off is going to fall off crazy when it comes down to it. So we'll see. But Booker has a great opportunity here, and I love the talent. Like Booker to be as raw as what he was coming into the league. When the Bears drafted him, the outlet saying that they had him, I think, graded as a 3rd round talent, I believe. Don't quote me on that one. I don't have that information readily available in front of me. But, it is what it is. So let's not get ready to replace people yet. The story of Booker is going to develop over time. And the thing that I trust is I trust Dennis Allen. I trust Dennis Allen. If Dennis Allen feels like Austin Booker is ready to start, great, so be it. If this is a flyer of a year where you keep bringing Austin Booker off the bench this season and he ends up finishing the season coming off the bench and competes for a starting role next year, great. You're still in a really good position. So we'll see what happens there. The key thing in this is just the balance that we need on that defensive line. The balance and how we strike that balance between how we figure out the rotation is going to be fun to watch. And I think seeing a player like Austin Booker who's really stepped up this year in the growth from year 1 to year 2 through the preseason so far has been tangible. It just puts you in a good situation, and we'll see how that ends up rounding out for this Bears team. But overall, we're in it. It's okay to have too much talent, right? Like I would love to be in a place that we're talking about the Chicago Bears have too much talent at some positions. We ain't been there. Can we get a winning season first before we worry about having too much talent in places? And it'll come along. And I don't know how much of the opposite defensive end is truly open. I don't know that. We'll see what Dennis Allen feels. But regardless, Austin Booker's going to have a role in this defense. He's going to have a really big role in this defense. And with Odingbo as well being able to play on the inside, some on the interior defensive line, that flexibility that you give somebody like a Dennis Allen, that's what can make things special. That's what I want to see. So regardless of who steps up, when, where, and how, I'm just excited to see how it all plays out because for once, it seems like we not only have talent on this team, but we have talent that fits the game plan and a coach that actually has a creative game plan as well. Like every coach has had a game plan. Matt Eberflus's game plan was worse than asking Madden. So there's that aspect of things. But I think overall on the game, I meant that. But overall, like let's get to a place where let's see and let's give this coaching staff, let's give them a surplus of talent. If that's what it is, let's give them that because we have guys now as our play callers and in that position that are truly going to maximize what we have here. And I do believe that, and we'll see. Same thing goes with the starting left tackle competition. I personally, and I think in what we've seen so far, I do think that Braxton Jones, his opportunity to be the starting left tackle may be done. We shall see. Again, his time wasn't absolutely terrible. It wasn't that. I do think that Kieran Amagaje is slowly but faded from that competition as well. I think we've seen over the last week or so, Theo Benedet has kind of passed him up in that left tackle race, and that's perfectly fine. Kieran, we knew that he was extremely raw. Even the fact that Kieran Amagaje has looked as good when he's played with the ones as what he has, I think is an encouraging sign that Dan Rouchar and the work that he's doing with Kieran Amagaje is going to really get there overall. But I think right now, Ozzy Tripilo, the primary challenger to get that, Theo Benedet has been rising up a little bit late. It wasn't necessarily the best game for him either in the last game, but he's definitely been playing well. And Braxton Jones, Braxton has been the comments from Dan Rouchar on Braxton Jones, those type of things. It's going to be interesting to watch when it comes down to all of that. But Ozzy Tripilo, we'll see what happens there. It does say this right now, though, from Sean Hammy says this: Bears starting offensive line tonight. That was against the Bills, so we'll see. Now, is it fair to assume that Ozzy Tripilo is out of the starting left tackle competition? No. I think that even though he started on the right side in the last one, I think we'll see what happens there. Braxton Jones did play the first two drives with the starters against Buffalo for what that's worth. And that was expected. Braxton Jones is still going to get every opportunity to really comes when it comes down to it. But, we'll see. Theo Benedet, Braxton Jones, Ozzy Tripilo played a lot of starting right tackle. But, I don't know if I'm not going to say that he's out of the starting left tackle race, which some people have already started to say when it comes down to that one. Courtney Cronin tweeted out this in regards to the left tackle snap counts. Braxton Jones played 14 snaps at left tackle. You had Theo Benedet, who played 39, and Kieran Amagaje that played 33. Ozzy Tripilo, who played 37 snaps at left tackle versus Miami, he moved over to right tackle, and his 39 snaps are all at right tackle. I don't necessarily we know that Darnell Wright's going to be the starting right tackle. So I don't think that Tripilo's out of the race, but we shall see how it's going to go. Braxton hasn't necessarily played well enough to clearly separate himself either. And we got a lot of decisions still left to be made before we make that starting left tackle position fully known, but we'll see what happens there. All right. With that said, though, let's get into some of the other comments, right? We talked a lot about other things. Caleb Williams has talked about Olamide Zaccheus and his thoughts on him, and he says this: it's been great. That's my guy on and off the field. I think on the field wise, what you all see mostly, but I think after practice, being able to get extra reps with him, even if it's not maybe physical reps, it's the mental reps of him and I just having open communication that I've talked about before with the wide receivers and where I expect him to be, how he runs this and all of that. I think it just shows. One of the things that has been really clear here is that Caleb Williams and Olamide Zaccheus have really great chemistry. And I think for what it's worth too, Luther Burden and Tyson Bagent have really great chemistry as well. And that's fine. And, if Olamide being the veteran, and when we signed him, we were like, the Bears got their slot receiver. Then they drafted Luther Burden. We knew that Luther Burden was going to make his case for being the starting slot receiver as well. But it does seem like Olamide Zaccheus is coming away with that one. And I don't necessarily see that as a negative either. Like having a veteran there that's going to be there. It's not like Luther Burden isn't still going to play. I think how we've seen Ben Johnson use him and line him up, it's clear that Ben Johnson also loves Luther Burden. He's going to find ways to get him out there, again, putting the ball in the hands of your playmakers. And Luther Burden's going to have to block. He's going to have to do those type of things, and he's going to get that opportunity. And we'll see how that ultimately shakes out for Luther Burden and Olamide at that slot receiver. But for what it's worth, Caleb Williams' chemistry with Olamide is palpable. You can feel it. You can see it out there. You can see where he looks for Olamide Zaccheus out there, and he trusts that he's going to be where he needs him to be. And that second hand, especially for a quarterback in their second year, still trying to figure out their balance, is going to be really important. And so we'll continue to see it. We'll watch how it goes. I don't think we're going to get to see a lot of it, of course, in the third preseason game, just going down on Friday in 3 days. But I do think we're going to get to see the continued development of that and what that can turn into, and it should be pretty damn fun. So let me know what you guys think on that down below. Who do you think right now is coming away with the starting left tackle position? Let me know what you guys think on that down below. Now, one of the things that happened yesterday, and we do got to talk about is the Bengals are going to be moving Trey Hendrickson. After trying to repair that relationship, it's clearly going to be moving him. And now the question becomes, for a lot of people asking, can the Chicago Bears get involved in that? And I've been somebody that I've said, I don't think the Bears make a type of move like this for the assets that's going to come there. And so we'll see what happens with that one. When it comes down to Diana Rossini from The Athletic says this: Cincinnati's asking price is pretty simple. A first-round pick in 2026 and a young defensive player. That's what they want for Trey Hendrickson. And it seems like a simple enough ask when it comes down to it as well. Now, the question is that with that being a young defensive player and a first-round pick, are the Bears going to be able to do that? Let's see. If the Bears are willing to pick their 2026 first-round pick, which, again, could be meaning that that's giving up a chance to get a running back again. Could be, right? Maybe don't take a running back in the first round. We'll see, right? But it does seem like the Bears are definitely going to be improved this year. How improved, that remains to be seen. How good is that pick going to be in the first round? And that's what you have to value and look at it if you're the Bears. How much do you really trust the glow up that you've had? How much do you trust your team to take that next step up there, right? Because if the Bears are expecting their pick to be between 19 and 25, that's not necessarily a bad position to be in to give up to get a player like Trey Hendrickson. Now, the part of it, a young defensive player. Could that be Tyreek Stevenson? Could the Cincinnati Bengals, especially, and the reason why I say that, I love Tyreek Stevenson. You guys know it. I've said it. I've gone back and forth with Darius about Tyreek Stevenson. I've talked about the analytics with Stevenson, how he ranked amongst cornerbacks. Stevenson is good. Now, we did recently lose Terrell Smith, which could make this a little bit more difficult as well. But the question becomes, Tyreek Stevenson, at the position group that's your deepest at, the way that Nashawn Wright has stepped up, right? You have guys like Zay Flowers. You have those type of guys that, of course, are injured, but you're wondering what they're going to look like. Would a Tyreek Stevenson and the Chicago Bears first-round pick, if the Bears are confident that it's going to be between 19 and lower, would you be willing to give that up? That's the question that you have there. And that is what Nashawn Wright and the way that he stepped up so much for the Chicago Bears, it brings that question. Would Dio Odingbo be a player that we just talked about, Austin Booker? Would that be somebody that they could be interested in to bring Trey Hendrickson into the Chicago Bears? I have been very adamant that I don't think the Bears make that type of move right now. But if that asking price that was reported by The Athletic is correct, it depends on how you view it. And I'm just going to be 100% honest with you. It's been more intrigued, especially when you pair in the fact that we heard on the Pat McAfee show that the Green Bay Packers could be in on Micah Parsons. Pat McAfee saying this, Ian Rappaport on Pat McAfee said this. That's the kind of team that I would say if Micah was going to be traded, that he'd be going to in regard to the Green Bay Packers. So here's the thing. Hearing that value on what a Trey Hendrickson trade could cost, I'm more interested in it than what I thought I would be when it kind of first popped up earlier in the season. But let me know what you guys think on that down below. Would you be willing to give up a Tyreek Stevenson or Dio Odingbo and a 2026 first-round pick if it meant landing Trey Hendrickson to this team? And then how does that change your expectations? Again, we're talking about the value of that first-round pick. That value does change if the Bears get a player like Trey Hendrickson. It changes drastically, to be 100% honest with you. And so that's something that I think we got to look, we got to monitor, and we'll see how it's going to shake out. But with that said, we still got some overflows. Let's get into one voicemail today. This one's from Damien.
What's going on? It's Damien from South Carolina. Big up for y'all guys, man. Been following y'all for a while now, but y'all been on point with y'all analysis of the team. But my input on a couple of days before the game and the game they have last night. I'm proud of Caleb Williams, man. And I'm still one of the guys' quotes. The best play he did last night is when the play broke down, he got rid of the ball. He threw it away, and he was just ready. Let's go, set up, live to see a new day. And I was like, okay, he gonna be good. Yeah, he gonna have his ups and downs. He's good. He understands, and everybody understands. He's not a generational talent quarterback. He's just a damn good quarterback with a lot of talent, and he got some good puzzles behind him, and he got the right toolage right now, Dan Johnson. But, man, I think he played good. That first drive was crazy. It opened a lot of eyes up. So that's tough. The first 17-week toughness in training camp opened his eyes, whether it was in second team, it didn't matter. Football is football, you know how it is. But my biggest takeaway from it is two things. The receiving core, that receiving core, it worked together. The tight ends was on point also, but the receiving core and that slot receiver come from Washington. Boy, him and Burden and Scott, boy, them some three speedy, elusive guys, man. They don't help us a lot in that slot. But the defense, I was a bit proud of the defense. And one of the things I wanted to ask y'all, see what y'all say on this, Booker, even though this is second year, but do y'all remember when we went to the Super Bowl and we had Jamal Anderson? He wasn't a starter, but he came off the bench and he led. I think he still got the record for the Chicago Bears most sacks for a rookie. I think it was 12 or something. Do y'all see Booker doing that this year? Except doing it with his second year. I know he ain't a starter, but coming off the bench, that change of pace. That's how I see him now. A big part. I see a lot of Jamal Anderson in him. But that's all I got, man. If y'all don't mind answering that question, do y'all see a little bit of Jamal Anderson in Booker? Side note, hey.
I think the generational label has to be earned over time. I like that whole thing. And we were one of the ones to say it here at Chicago Bears Central when people were talking generational. It's like, hey, calm down on that, right? Because generational, there's very few times that anybody looks generational as a rookie. You have to earn that. That's not something that's analytics and media's talking points, and that's buzzwords that they use because they can't convey or they don't have the proper wording to convey what a player could be, right? Yes, Caleb Williams has immense potential. But like you said, focus on being a good quarterback. Focus on finding team success. If you're going to end up being a generational player, that's not going to be told for 3-5 years down the road, but the success has to come in that. Caleb Williams has to find the way to be, as you said, a good quarterback first and success as a team. Let the rest worry where it's going to worry at. Now, as far as Austin Booker, the sky is the limit for Austin Booker. I don't really like to get into player comps, especially like historical player comps. That's just not what I get into because my brain is too analytical. I think about all the differences first before I think about the similarities. But the sky is truly the limit, I feel, for Austin Booker. He has immense potential. And now that we have a guy like Dennis Allen in here who's going to help guide that potential and our positional coaches, I'm even more excited to see what he can be. So we shall see what's that's going to turn into for the Chicago Bears and for Austin Booker. But I love the talent that he has here. Let's just round it on out. But that's my time for today, guys. Make sure you guys are following us at Chi Bears Central. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. ChicagoBearsCentral@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related, but that is thanks to you, lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on, Chi-Town up, but bear down. I love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.